what is Aries? How does Aries manifest? How did the symbol Aries come to play? Where did it derive from? Today we're going to talk about the higher and the inner depths of Aries. So, to begin with, we're going to firstly state that in the beginning in the universe, every planet, the universe actually started when every planet was actually in the sign of Aries. Aries gave birth to all the planets. Now, how and why do I say this? It's because the fixed stars, right? Let me draw for the pen. The fixed stars, these are fixed stars in the sky. And fixed stars in the sky form constellations. Constellations are what we call star signs. So when, let's take for example Aries. I don't know how the constellation looks like, but it's, each stars form a zodiac sign. And what happened was the planets were in this particular placement when they first started their expressions. So the expressions of the planets themselves formed Aries, right? And then so on and so forth, the planets moved along through different motions and events. Planets are bodies. They're moving bodies. Like this is the planet Saturn, for example. Planet Saturn is a moving body. So the planets are moving bodies. And at the time when the universe expanded, it was when Aries gave birth to the planets, and then so on and so forth. The universe started to create different energies, and the child became the adult, the mother became, and then so on and so forth. So you have all these energies combinations which actually gave birth to Aries. Now let's look at the deeper aspects of Aries. What does Aries mean? How to utilize Aries in one's birth chart, and how to see Aries in various ages. So here we find, first going into the symbol of Aries, the two parts that extend apart and bend back in the shape of a ram horn is what we call the fallopian tube. Okay, so the Latin word is tuba for trumpet, related to the English tube in the textbooks. The fallopian tubes are called oviducts. Applying to a sheep is ovine. So we know here that the symbol of Aries that you see is actually the representation of a fallopian tube. So there's an inner connection, because exoterically, meaning that things that manifest physically that you can see, and esoterically, meaning that the hidden energies, there's a concept here. The esoteric energy, which is the hidden energy, manifests as a fallopian tube, whereas the exoteric, which is the manifestation that you see Aries in that fiery, that aggressive, that go-getter, that active force. So the active force is actually the exoteric point of Aries. Okay, next slide. So now, many think that our figure Aries was designed to represent the Egyptian king of gods shown in Thebes with ram horns and variously known as Amun. Some would refer him as Amun Ra. Some would say Amin after their prayer. And some will say Amen after their prayer. Now, when you go to church, you're actually giving reverence to Amen Ra, which is the hidden sun. The hidden sun. And this was known to be in the age of Aries. So if you understand this idea, this was probably, would say, a good 4,000 years ago. It's 2,000 years, which was obviously the age of Pisces, but we will get into that. We will explain what this means as we go along further into this astrological understanding, because there's many things to know. Astrology is a wide knowledge of understanding, and it could take your lifetime to master what astrology really is about. So next slide. Okay, this is very interesting actually. The acronym RAM, or Random Access Memory, in computer science is a memory device in which information can be accessed in any order. So we know that the RAM deals in the computer, it deals with the memory, the short-term memory. So the more RAM you have, the more memory, speed and fast, active, the faster your computer is going to be, literally. So they didn't just choose the word for any reason. So it represents that intellectual mind. Okay. So now, the mind obviously is governed by Aries. The brain is governed by Aries. Aries governs the brain, the cells, everything to do with the brain and the head. Obviously, there's different parts of the body which represents different zodiac signs. Just like if you were to pull the lines here relate to different zodiac signs. Here will be Saturn and so on and so forth. And you've got different lines here which will also explain different zodiac energies that's going on. So certain Vedic astrologers, those that have studied, the Vedas in various forms, know those things. I'm not at that level yet, but hoping to be there one day. So now, let's dig a bit deeper. Next slide. Okay, there is a part of our brain called the horn of Amun, a group of nerve cells within the hippocampus which are clustered together in the shape of a horn and make up the horn of Amun. The hippocampus consists of two horns that curve back from the area of the hypothalamus to the oblongata. It appears to be very important in converting things that are in your mind at the moment, short-term memory term, into things that you will remember for the long run. So this actual system in the brain allows you to remember things in a long term. It shows the introduction or the tube which activates the brain to allow memory to kick in. So this is where you get the hard drive, the concept of the hard drive. The memory stores everything. That's the subconscious mind. You just have to look into a computer to know what is going on in the world. The computers are actually in this world right now to recreate your mind into literally a computer. So you want to understand the molecular energies that are maneuvering to understand how you think. You just have to look at everything externally to know how you think. Look at everything is a reflection of you. So you are reflecting energy constantly. So by you understanding that you're a reflection of everything that you see, you understand that a computer is a reflection of you, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's move on to the next slide before I lose myself and get into something else. Now, okay, rams or lambs were sacrificed to redeem the firstborn animal and humans to make atonement for sin. Okay, so now, before I read the next part, I want you to understand this, right? The first thing that comes out when a baby is born is the head. And that is governed by Aries. That is evidence. It comes out, it's governed by Aries. That energy is actually telling you what star signs are actually doing. So we got to understand that, Aries are very, impulsive. They're the go-getters, they're the active force. So, you have the head, you have the neck, there's different areas which govern different star signs, but it starts from here and then ends right at the feet. Okay, but we're going to get into the other signs. Just make sure you watch the other videos to get a deeper understanding, because you need to understand everything, every sign, to understand what astrology is about. You can't just read one sign or listen to one zodiac sign. You have to know all of them, because you are everything. Okay, so now, okay, the background constellation of the first day of spring, the indicator of the reborn sun of the AD 217, due to the precision of the equinox, Aries relinquishes this honor to Pisces, the fish. So Pisces is actually the feet, and it governs the feet, and it governs you being connected to the entire earth, whereas Aries connects you to the brain and the head, which allows you to perceive the world. So the earth is connected to Pisces. Now the equinox is actually the beginning of the new year, and not the 1st of January. The equinox is actually to do with when everything rebirths, when everything is at light, everything starts again, everything is looking beautiful. The trees, the kingdom of earth begins again. It does its, it has its motion throughout each elements and each star sign, and when it gets back to Aries, it's exalted. So meaning that if you're born when the sun in the heaven, the sun was in the constellation of Aries, meaning that the sun, this is the symbol of the sun, by the way. The sun in the constellation of Aries, meaning that the sun is moving into the constellation of Aries, which are the fixed stars, and it moved to that zodiac sign, and now what it's doing, it's letting you know that it's exalted, it's at its best placement. Okay, so I want you to hold this in your memory. We're going to get into the other ones to make sense, the other signs, obviously. So the sun was predominantly powerful at this time. So this is what gave birth to life, gave birth to a new year. And this should be the celebration of your new year. This is where you should push things forward, because Aries is that expressive side of life, showing that life is starting. So, okay, next slide. Okay, now to get to the final in-depth esoteric light of the ages, we're gonna just talk about Aries from a biblical term, and then we can move on for those that are religious. So the biblical school said that Aries represented Abraham, ram caught in a thicket when the then current religious law demanded that the firstborn son be sacrificed to God. Then Abraham lifted his eye and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horn. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. So this actually was to let you know that the ram was the first zodiac sign. It was to actually demonstrate, by looking into the sky, he saw, and he actually chopped the ram as a sacrifice. So the head within itself was that sacrificial energy that they portrayed in the Bible. Now, there's a ritual behind this, and it kicks off the universe. So that's where you get Abra, Ra meaning sun. Ra in ancient Egypt is sun. Re, Ra, same thing. And obviously there's the word Ham in it, interestingly. But okay, so now we're going to talk about the esoteric concept of Aries. Now, esoterically, Aries represents intuition. Aries represents intellect. Why do I say intellect? Because Aries is actually, esoteric planet is Mercury. Aries is governed by Mars. Just bear this in mind though. This is the symbol of Mars. I don't want to confuse you here. This is the symbol of Mars. Okay, this is the symbol of Mars here. That's the planet of Aries. Now, each zodiac sign is governed by a planet, obviously. So now, when we look into astrology, esoterically, Gemini, obviously, which is governed by Mercury, is actually the planet of Aries esoterically, because the Aries aspect deals with the intellectual level intuition. So it's the first intuitive concept of the thinking mind to bear witness, meaning that it is from a mental aspect of the mental plane. And the mental aspect of the mental plane deals with the plane of existence of ideas. When you deal with the Kabbalion, the laws of Tehuti, the laws of Thoth, you get the concept of whatever you think manifest, and that is an Aries manifestation. The physical aspect of it, of Aries, is like, I'm courageous, I'm going to do this, I'm going to act. That is Aries manifesting its energy upon itself outwardly. Now, on the other hand, we know that Aries manifests esoterically the hidden forces through Mercury. So, now, the positive side of Aries is that it is able to know through intuition directly without having confusion from everything else. It knows. It's like the knower. Now, in astrology, it's like the knower. When you think of it, it's like the knower. However, on the other hand, when it's impulsive, so, you know, it's always, repulsing to things. It wants to just get things done right now. But then it never finishes what it creates. It just pushes and then that's it. It doesn't hold on to things. So that's how Aries manifests itself. Now, in astrology, esoterically, the sign is born through the sign of Cancer, right? The sign, meaning the soul, is born in the sign of Cancer, but then it comes out through Aries. Comes out through Aries. Remember the head coming into life. And Aries is that symbology of energy, strength, power. So now on the mental level, Aries represents expansion. So to express, that's on the mental plane. It expands. Fire, that's the fire energy. On the astral plane, Aries has momentum, meaning that the energy is constantly moving and moving and moving and moving. Now, when it's at that point, it has a hard time slowing down that moving wave in the astral plane. The astral plane is a dream plane. When it deals with the physical aspect now, it's penetrating. It has that vital energy, and it pushes and it merges into things. It digs into it. So it's a good way of healing or tapping into certain frequencies. So these are some of the manifestations esoterically of how Aries manifests. Let's look at the Vedic concept of astrology. Is seen as the ascendant. And the ascendant is actually the point where your soul enters into the world. The ascendant in astrology is this. I don't want to confuse people, it's the first sign, and I'm already getting you out of place. So this is a birth chart. This is a birth chart, this is from a Western point of view. I like to use the Western chart. It's actually more interesting. And obviously Aries is here. The ascendant point is here. So Vedically, how they perceive it, it's that the soul is actually the ascendant, and the ascendant is actually where everything begins from, where the sun rises. In the morning, it's the soul coming in, and this is how it comes to birth. It can be in any sign, but Aries represents that the expression of life. The layers of being oneself in life, to create, to get out there, to polish, to get out there and act. So that's Aries on the Vedic perspective. So and then through there, then we get to understand what Aries is on a psychological aspect. Because with Vedic, they deal with the concept of dealing with astrology on a soul level, So they don't look at your sun sign, which is the sun, as being you. They see you as being the ascendant. The sun sign will be where Aries, if Aries is in here. But like, in other words, this is Aries here as an ascendant, whereas you could have it here as a sun, anywhere in the wheel, right? So now let's look at the final aspect of Aries, and I'm gonna talk from a personality point of view. Now, Aries, from a Western concept, you know, Aries is courageous. Aries acts. Aries doesn't think before he acts or she acts. Aries is the sign which does everything without thinking. Aries has to be the first sign of the zodiac. It is the war energy lord. You know, Aries wants to let you know what is happening right now. Aries is actually the feminine energy manifesting itself in the outside world, right? It might sound crazy, but it actually is. Because the masculine energy is projective, whereas the feminine energy is expanded. You know, it's the subconscious, and the masculine energy is actually focused to one point. So if you want to know what's going on in this world, you just have to look at females. Females are the representation of how a man expresses himself on the unconscious mind. So these are the two polarities. So Aries is that explosive energy, that energy that is chaotic and at the same time creative. You know, any issues to do with the brain, the head, on the healthy level, on the health level, then you're dealing with Aries. On the health level, then you're dealing with Aries, you're dealing with the brain. Any brain issues or anything to do with the eyes. Eyes is the symbology of Aries. The eyes are linked to Aries. The whole face is linked to Aries, obviously, but it's governed by there. So if you have a lot of headaches, guess what? That's an Aries thing. The gemstone which governs Aries is actually coral. Coral is a stone for Aries. So this is not traditionally, because traditionally it's the planets that you would wear as rings and so on to remedy various things in astrology. But coral is the crystal that is worn by people who have an Aryan nature, or to strengthen that energy, if one wants it to do that, so that could be strengthened inside. So that's a technique. If you want to get a pendant from me, I sell the Orgone coral pendant. It's available on my website, and feel free to have a look and see. And remember, always protect yourself from radiation. I have the scalar pendant which will protect you at most time. And don't forget to download some of my stuff. Thank you for watching this video once again. Bye.